Welcome to the Blogger Genius Podcast, brought to you by MiloTree. Here's your host, Jillian Leslie.
Hi, welcome to the show. Today, my guest is Kate Ahl, who is the mastermind behind Simple Pin Media. So welcome to the show, Kate.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. I'm excited about your podcast.
Oh, thank you. And I'm inspired by you because I've been a big fan of yours for so long. And I've been on your podcast twice.
Yes, you have. They're both great conversations.
Yeah, and the thing that we both share is love of Pinterest.
Yes, that's true.
So I want to start with you and how you, A, discovered Pinterest, and B, built a whole business around it.
Yeah, so the first time I discovered Pinterest, I was actually at a good friend's house, and it was just after Pinterest had started late 2009, like early 2010, and she had made these really amazing outdoor like candle chandelier type things with like mason jars and pallets, of course, right?
Yes.
And we live in Portland, so that kind of all comes together even more perfectly.
Totally.
So I said, where did you get all these ideas? This is great. And she's like, well, it's this new site called Pinterest. And I remember standing at her kitchen and we were looking at the computer or iPad, I can't remember at the time. And I was like, I don't know, but this is a great solution to bookmarking. But Pinterest didn't look like what it looks like now at that time. It was really confusing. Like you couldn't figure out who you were following and you had to have an invite. So I said, can you send me an invite? And it took, it felt like forever. It took like 6 weeks. And, some of my other friends were talking about Pinterest, and kind of what is it and how is it going to work? And so I got the invite and I created an account. I don't even know where that account is. Actually, I should try to dig and find it. But I loved it. I loved the sheer fact that I could organize content. But I should also say I was really still confused by it. Like the user experience in the beginning was not easy. Like you couldn't really figure out like who is this person I'm engaging with? What's their stuff? They wanted you to follow artists, and it didn't seem like it matched me quite yet. So I did take a step back from it for a little bit. Well, during that time too, I started working with a friend who had a blog. And she was feeling like it was growing pretty significantly. It was 2010, which means, we're still like mid-recession, and she did deals, couponing, frugal living, which was going crazy during that time because people needed to save money. So she asked me to come on and do Facebook marketing for her initially, which I did and I loved. And then she asked me to come on to her blog to do a lot of affiliate marketing, blog management, kind of jack of all trades. And that slowly merged into Pinterest. And what I ended up doing was that Pinterest account essentially became my personal Pinterest account. I was falling in love with Pinterest. I was falling in love with her content too at the same time, but also falling in love with just using Pinterest in general. And so we spent, we really didn't know how to market on there. It was more, we had heard of people getting traffic, and this was probably bringing us up to like 2012-ish. And she discovered a Pinterest course, and she's like, I took this Pinterest course. They talk about like naming your boards, no longer cutesy names, and pinning your pin, like really thinking business. And we spent, I don't know, like 3 to 4 hours in her living room. It was spring of 2012, and really looked at, what were we going to do with Pinterest, right? So we got the strategy. We're just playing around with it. So a good full year. And then 2013, probably like November 2013 is when Facebook changed their algorithm pretty significantly, where business pages, it was like the first big like Facebook Armageddon where business pages weren't getting seen. And as a deal blogger, that's how you got most of your click-throughs and affiliate sales. And it really, everybody took a huge hit. And the question was like, we'd never seen that before. And we didn't really know what to do with it. Everybody's getting this amazing traffic. So we looked and said, maybe we need to do something different. And at that same time, personally, we were going through still the downturn of the economy, and my husband couldn't find a job, and his unemployment had ran out. And so at that same time, the unemployment was running out and Facebook was changing their algorithm. She had said to me, the friend I was working for, she said, well, why don't you try managing people's Pinterest accounts? And I thought she was nuts. And I literally remember sitting at the kitchen table watching her say this and thinking, I don't even know how you would do that. Like, that doesn't, I don't know what? Like, just like, I was just on her account all the time. So I thought, I can't be on someone's account all the time. This is crazy. But she said, just research everything you can. Just start Googling and see what's happening out there. Because we knew from this previous Pinterest course that there was at least some idea of Pinterest for business, but yet there wasn't a lot of conversation about it. So she then said, Google research. I did. I found one other Pinterest course that I joined. I found a small Facebook group of women just getting together to strategize about Pinterest. And I discovered Viral Tag in the beginning as a scheduling service to use because there really wasn't anything out there. And asked, I said, well, I'll test with yours over 2 months. This was November, December. And then we sat at the beach one weekend and created a couple different packages. I bought Simple Pin Media as a domain and thought, here we go. Like, let's try this. And so she asked 2 of her friends to be beta clients.
That is terrific. Oh, and how many clients do you have now?
101.
Wow. So you manage 101 client. You manage their Pinterest.
Yes, we do. It's definitely a big team.
And how many people on your team?
30.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow. And do you manage other social media accounts like Instagram or anything else?
Nope. We've thought a little bit about Instagram. I have to say that that's been in my thoughts of a potentially on the roadmap, but it wouldn't be. It would be something along the lines of taking the model of Simple Pin and either franchising it or duplicating that model underneath different socials around.
Well, I have to say, this is a piece of advice that I continue to give, which is the internet is a really big place and that you can grow a really successful business by niching down. By being the Pinterest experts, that you don't have to be the Pinterest, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube expert, that actually by knowing your niche so well, you can really grow.
Yeah.
And that it's that people think, oh, and then I need to move into this area. And I'm like, if you go deep, there's because not that many other people will do it.
Right. Yes, that's very
so that you can own that space. And so when I think of Pinterest and I think of Pinterest marketers, like you're the person I call.
Well, thank you.
So
that.
Because I'm not thinking, oh, I want a general social media marketer.
Right.
I'm like, ooh, we're noticing something with our Pinterest accounts. I'm going to check in with Kate and see if she's seeing the same thing.
Yeah, it does make it easy for anybody who's thinking of doing any business. I will definitely say that niching down allows you to immerse yourself so deeply in a certain platform that that's all you study. And I found it feeling overwhelmed. And that's why we haven't gone into Instagram, because you're dealing with 2 different animals. Like one drives traffic and one drives engagement. And there's 2 different methods of using it. And you can't apply a one-size-fits-all social strategy to all social platforms. And so
Absolutely.
It will just drive you into the ground. I don't want to be driven into the ground.
And like another piece of advice I give is figure out what your goals are for your business and pick the social media platform that A, speaks to your audience, where your audience already is, and B, which delivers what you're looking for. And that, yes, you should own your name on every platform, but that to think that you need to be on every platform actively you will drive yourself insane.
Yeah. Yes. I have felt that. So for me, socially, as far as Simple Pin, my first focus was just Pinterest. That's where I put my content. That's where I spent my time. That was my big drive. And I did focus a little bit on Facebook and building a really strong Facebook group. The group was more important to me than the page.
Right.
And since then, I have a social media manager who does all my stuff for me because I don't want to keep up with Facebook. I don't want to keep up with Instagram. I just want to interact with people.
And the thing that is also true, which is, okay, so you are, let's say, I will definitely say you are one of the top Pinterest experts, but Pinterest is always changing. So it's not like you ever own Pinterest. Like, I know it's like, I'm always, amazed at how often these social networks are changing.
Yeah. They change all the time.
So Pinterest today, but then you've got to keep on it. And then, you get to tell me what I need to do. Because again, it's not like, oh, I've mastered it. Oh no, they'll pull the rug out from under you.
And I've always heard and heeded this advice that the moment you become unteachable or unwilling to learn is the moment your business dies. And so I never want to I always want to come, the term expert is really tough for me to digest, and mostly because it's just hard to see it that way, and semantics, right? Like, you could say thought leader and I might wrap my brain around that a little bit better. But I think the thing is that even I, as a person who studies Pinterest, teaches Pinterest, is only in Pinterest, I still have days where I will email some colleagues and say, there's not a trick I'm missing, right? Like, I'm not missing something. And they know to expect it, every 6 or 8 months from me, because I just go, it's that moment of insecurity to go, did I miss something? Have I not learned this? And I appreciate people in my life who are willing to accept those questions from me in a way that says, no, Kate, you're fine. Like, keep doing what you're doing. Like, okay, that's what I needed.
Absolutely. And again, I like that idea of, if you have an online business, you have to stay nimble. You have to stay hungry, because you're absolutely right. You can't rest on your laurels. Like, when you're talking about 2012, let's say, Pinterest in 2012, that's not that long ago. And yet in the world of the internet, that's a really long time ago.
Forever. Yep.
So I will say that for us, for Catch My Party, our first business, we stumbled into Pinterest. What I was doing was using it as a way to save content from Catch My Party so that I could write blog posts, right? Because my husband, who's the technical part of our partnership, I kept saying to him, build me some way that I could have like a clipboard or something. And he never built it. So then I discovered Pinterest. I was like, oh, I could just do it here. And then what I weirdly found was we were getting traffic. It was like weird. We didn't plan on it. It was really just for my own personal use. And then we said to ourselves really early, which was good, was, okay, if this is driving us traffic and we're not even trying, we need to try. And then Pinterest now, of course, is our biggest traffic driver. And the way we monetize with Catch My Party is traffic. So that's why we then built MiloTree, for example, our pop-up, because we recognized we need to grow Pinterest. So we doubled down on Pinterest. So it's why I read whatever you write, because Pinterest matters to us in a huge way. And so it is about finding that area where you can build your business, finding the social networks that support that, and then being willing to learn as much as you possibly can about that platform, or whatever that thing is, whether you're selling courses, whether you're selling products, whether you're, you're creating stuff for Etsy, whatever it is. Like, the more you know, just the more you have to leverage to grow.
Yeah, definitely. Fully agree. And I think there's that feeling too of spreading super wide, because we want to make sure we're covering it all. But yet when we spread super wide, we become less efficient or less productive. And we're only skimming the surface of everything instead of going, I'm going to focus here. And that's hard in our online world. And you and I have talked about this before, because we are being pulled in so many different directions, kind of like with the dangling carrot of like, if you go here, you can make money. If you go here, and you are constantly in this push pull. And I was saying this to you before we started, was that I can't listen myself to podcasts anymore about marketing unless I need the specific tool,
Yep.
because it's information overload for me, and it feels like dangling carrots just in my face when I have this big team of people saying, especially my leadership team, saying, we need you to do this, or we need you to lead us in this direction and firm up this processes. And it's like, that's where I got to continue to focus back my time, because that's where my business is. And that's hard because there's a little bit of like the FOMO, if you will, like
Yes.
I'm going to miss out on
Yes.
this tip, and my
Yes.
business is going to go down. And then you realize, well, no, your business is going to go down the tubes if you spend all your day listening to podcasts and never implementing.
Absolutely. And I am a big believer in just doing at least one thing a day.
Yeah.
One thing a day to move your business forward. And then to give yourself credit for achieving that goal. And I agree with you about stepping away. I've mentioned this previously, that I've really stepped away personally in Facebook. I know that's now kind of in the news, but I took a Facebook break personally.
Yeah.
And I noticed how much better I felt.
Yes.
And I know that's like, I work in the world of social media, but it's about figuring out that I don't have to be where everybody is, and I don't have to follow that thing where, oh my God, everybody's making a ton of money here, I need to be there.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's a good lesson in digging deep and figuring out who you are, what you want to grow, why you're doing this, like those deeper questions.
Yeah.
Because you could spend your life going from trend to trend to trend.
Yeah. Yes, you could. And you would drive yourself into the ground.
And you would. And by the way, and you won't be successful.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I agree. It is hard in our world to have laser focus, but I would say like that is the place where you can find out the most about your business. That's where you can grow the most. And I agree with you. I'm not on Facebook anymore very much, except for to look at my group.
Right. Right.
And
Me too.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's where I get actually the greatest value from what
Yep.
I'm doing.
Will you tell everybody what your group is?
Yeah. So it's the Simple Pin Pinterest strategy group. And it's just a group to talk about Pinterest. Like, we don't even do group board threads because we find that it kind of muddies the waters of the group. But
what is a group board thread, just so people will know?
So there are specific Facebook groups on Pinterest group boards. So what it means is you can go into these Facebook groups and you can look at what group boards on Pinterest people have available for you to join and submit your content to. So there's this one, it's called Pinterest Group Boards. It's a fantastic group just dedicated to that. And I love it because, again, it's just dedicated to one thing. So knowing that was happening over there, I decided to really create a culture in our Facebook group that was just about Pinterest. So if you were experiencing a glitch, you knew you could go there, ask a question, and someone would answer. If you were frustrated, or if you had a joy to share, or whatever it was in relation to Pinterest marketing, I wanted this to be the place where that conversation could happen without drama. That's a big thing for me. Without being solicited to by other members, and without feeling like you were asking a dumb question. That there are no dumb questions. We want every single question there is, and we want this to be the hub where you go to get up-to-date information on Pinterest. And
no, wait, the thing I have to say, I love that you are popping in with updates and what's new. Like, in my feed, if I see that you have been on talking about something, I know to listen. Like, I will stop what I'm doing and listen to you.
Thank you so much for that support. That means a lot, because, when you're on the other side of the computer, you never know what people are responding to or not responding to. So
I have to say, again, because you're my expert. So you're talking, I'm listening.
I love it. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's talk about Pinterest, just because you are the expert. And if I say group boards, give me your 30-second thing on should people be focusing on group boards. And group boards, again, are where a bunch of people can share to a board And the hope is that you can get your content in front of people that aren't necessarily following you.
Yes, correct.
So what's kind of the so that we can give some value to the listeners, like group boards? Should people be finding group boards, joining group boards?
Yeah, I think they're a valuable part of your strategy on Pinterest with marketing, but I always tell people to keep it about only 30% because what can happen is that you chase the idea of getting other people's followers to see your pins by joining group boards, and then you forget that you have your own followers and they're following your personal boards and they want to see what you're pinning. So I tell people if they're going to do group boards, I always have them join group boards that fit their niche. That the content on there is something you would want your people seeing. It's nothing sketchy or, just super general or even not appealing. It has to have a specific title that is a very strong keyword on Pinterest. So I don't want it to be like best blogger recipes. I would rather have it
awesome pins.
Right. Or awesome pins. Exactly. I'd rather have it be something like instant pot soup recipes.
Yep.
That means on the board is only instant pot soup recipes. And if you have that content, that's a great place for you to put it, not just for followers, but for the search factor, that when people search that title of instant pot soup recipes, Pinterest will see that that's a place where there's a lot of content on that topic being shared. So there's that. And then also joining with people is really important as well. And sharing from that group board, especially if you have relationships, is also super important too.
Great. Okay. Now, in terms of success on Pinterest, how many pins per day do you recommend somebody pin?
I have thought about this a lot actually in the last couple of months. I have a data analyst who's going through a bunch of our data of the last 4 years and analyzing a lot of this based on number of pins per day. And one thing that's really interesting to us is our baseline package is 10 pins. Then we do a midline package of 20 pins and then 30 pins per day. Mm-hmm. And the reason we started that in 2014 was because Pinterest was based on a chronological feed. So the more pins, the more you got seen in the feed. Well, now that we've moved on to image and search based, what we realize is that the number of pins per day isn't as relevant as your keywords on your pin descriptions or your images and how much they capture the pinner's attention.
Got it.
Yeah. So I'm less likely to tell people it's a certain number of pins per day, and I'm more likely to tell them what your images look like, because you can slap up 50 pins of crappy images and not end up getting return, or you could have 10 amazing images and drive tons more traffic. And we find that with some of our clients lately, that those who really have had head down focused, they know their avatar, they have really strong keywords, like 3 to 4 pillar keywords that they really focus in on, and that is increased engagement and it's increased their page views over time with just 10 pins a day.
That's terrific. Okay. Text overlays on the pin images or not?
Yes, I really like them. And I like them especially because Pinterest feels a little bit like billboard advertising. So
yes, that's a good way to describe it.
And it's like, what's going to catch them? So I always tell people before they go into creating text overlays on their images for their own business, do 2 things. 1, start paying attention to your billboards as you're driving and just really pay attention to the patterns that you see. And then number 2, go onto Pinterest on your phone. Try not to do this on desktop. And see what catches you as you scroll by, and save it all to a secret board.
Yes.
And then you can see what is it that stands out to me and why. And chances are it's going to be very call to action type statements, something that could even be a provocative statement or a question. And then also really, really bright colors. That's another thing too. And if you're dealing with recipes or any type of food, I've seen a couple things work well, which is showcasing the ingredients in the pin image somewhere. Because then I can look at 5 o'clock if I'm ready to do dinner and I can see that I have everything in your image. I'm much more likely to click and make that meal. Or
I like that.
You can really tell me if it's easy, if it's healthy, if it's 5 ingredient. People on Pinterest love numbers.
Ooh.
So if you're going to do something like 25 cruise tips, that is amazing. Or you're going to do 5 ingredient brownies. those do so well.
Yes.
And making that number pop too in a
Ooh,
different color is really good too.
that's awesome. Okay. Hashtags.
Hashtags is new. So Pinterest released the use of hashtags in August of this last year, 2017. And that was a big surprise to us all. In fact, it felt a little bit like whiplash. Like, wait, what? What did you
Yes.
do? Because they were very dead set on it for since the beginning. We don't use hashtags. We don't use hashtags. So they released it, and what they did with it was they created what's called a hashtag feed. So that means when you pin something to Pinterest with a hashtag, it goes into this hashtag feed that's run chronologically. So it's very wise for you as a business owner to create your own branded hashtag. So for me, I have hashtag Simple Pin Podcast.
Yep.
So then when anybody clicks on the Simple Pin Podcast, it goes to all of my pins.
Yep.
Then in addition, Pinterest has set it up to 20 hashtags on a description, but I would not go that many yet. I would just do about 4 to 5 and then make it pretty specific. We're not like Instagram here. So I would do something like, Instant Pot or Instant Pot Soup or easy dinner. So not just recipe. That you don't want to go that route. And then you don't want to go back and update your pins. That's one thing that's going to be a waste of time because it's only done when a new pin enters the platform. So if you update with hashtags on your pins, it's not going to automatically funnel over into the chronological feed. It just stays where it is.
Right.
So the only update I would tell people to do is on your top 10 pins that are driving traffic to your site from Pinterest. I would go into your Pinterest description or wherever you want to have Pinterest pull the description from. And I would add hashtags there because people are already sharing once they get to your site. So that does put the new pins that they're sharing on your behalf into the chronological feed.
Oh, I love this. I'm like taking copious notes right now. Okay, video on Pinterest.
So video is also new as of this last summer. The only way that you can get access to their native video player is if you run a promoted pin ad, and it's based on views. I have not tested it yet. From what I've heard from other people, it's a little bit expensive. And video, it is being used by the big brands. So if you wanted to throw some money behind it, I would definitely, if you're a food blogger, I would go that route for sure and just set it up or have somebody set it up for you. But beyond that, videos on Pinterest that are just uploaded via YouTube are still a little bit of a speed bump. Like people don't quite interact with them yet. So the best
Do you think that, again, as we're talking about niching and that different niches are different, that Pinterest has really wanted to break into video, but people have talked to me about it and said it makes me uncomfortable to watch video on Pinterest. I want to just be scrolling. It breaks my good vibes.
Yes, it does. It feels intrusive.
Yes.
Yeah. I would say that so we look at the big three, which is Pinterest, YouTube, and Google. And YouTube owns the space on video. So we are all conditioned that if we want a video, we go to YouTube, right?
Yes.
If we want a quick cooking video that just happens upon our stream, we'll tolerate those on Facebook.
Yep.
But the best path for video as it relates to Pinterest is still to create that solid pin image and lead them to your site or lead them to YouTube. We have seen some people doing that, and that works fine as long as the pinner knows on the image that they're going to a video. Yeah, if you can't interrupt their flow. Like if we're shocked into something or it jars us a little bit, then we're like, what? Where am I? What is going on? But if you have a pin image with that little play button in the middle, people are more apt to try to push the play button because that's what we're conditioned to do. And then when they get over there, they find what they've expected, which is a video. So that's really, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what Pinterest does in the next year with video, but I don't think we're quite there yet where the masses are ready to consume it.
Yes. Okay. One last Pinterest expert question.
Mm-hmm.
Promoted pins. Who are those good for?
I think everybody. And
Okay.
I definitely would say that promoted pins are continually getting better and better and better as they go along. I believe that an organic strategy is really, really good combined with a promoted pin strategy. And that when you do a promoted pin, you need to have a goal in mind. So we're doing a bunch of promoted pin campaigns testing. We're building a promoted pins team, like a services team here at Simple Pin. And so we're running a bunch of tests. And my goal, because I'm using my account as the guinea pig, my goal is email signups. I want as many people on my email list as possible because I love talking to them in my email. It's my favorite thing to do. And it's the way that I can hook them in and continue to teach them and then hook them into my Facebook group. I'm not as concerned about course sales or promoting my services because those are two things that take a little bit of time to warm up.
Yep.
So my goal is always, okay, I have this amazing post and I'll say it's not an amazing post, but it's gotten an amazing amount of traffic from Pinterest about how to clean up Pinterest boards, and it has an opt-in on it. That's the one that I'm promoting because I'm getting so much traffic to it that I want to take my promoted pin and give it another 10 to 20% boost just to see how it performs.
So then you're sending that pin to a landing page where people can sign up?
No, it has the landing page built within the post. So the post
it sends it to a post, and then they read the post, and there is a sign up.
Exactly. It has a good conversion rate on it already. It's about 50%. So
that's terrific.
Yeah. So we're really trying to funnel as many people towards that.
Got it. Okay. Because we were experimenting with some promoted pins for MiloTree. And what I found was when I just promoted like, hey, grow your social following, especially Pinterest, because again, the idea is I want to advertise on Pinterest that this can help your Pinterest. It was working okay, but when I sent what I promoted a pin that was an article that was like how to grow your Pinterest, here are our top tricks and tips, that did much better. At getting people to click. When it was, I'm going to give you like free content, here it is, or which did much better than, hey, here's just an ad for us.
Okay. Yep, I would agree. People need to be warmed up. For sure.
Yep, they need to trust you, and they need to see that there's real value there.
It's we have run ads to the landing page just for my Pinterest planner, and that's like our big main opt-in. And we've found that hasn't actually converted as well as sending them to the podcast where I talk about it and they can get warmed up. So.
Interesting. Okay. Oh, yeah. No, so it's been really, this is the thing I would say. When you do ads, test, try things, like and you have to be willing to lose money.
Yes, exactly.
That's painful. It's super painful, but it is true that you have to think about the fact that this is it's like paying for a course. That you put some money behind stuff to see how it performs.
Yep.
And then you try to learn as fast as possible.
Yes, exactly. You try to catch up before you lose too much, which is always a good idea. Yeah, we were talking about a podcast I just recorded is about KPIs, key performance indicators. And we were
Can you just explain what a KPI is?
Yeah, so a KPI is just that key performance indicator. And for Pinterest, the common KPIs are followers, sessions, and then saves. But we wanted to take it a step further and look, do we actually know when a user is coming to your site from Pinterest, how much is that user worth, or how much is that post making? So we could either want more traffic and spend more time doing that, or we could spend some time really being strategic about where people are clicking and what's making us the most money and try to optimize that. And then once we know the cost of a click, then we can take and put money behind it, and we actually know how much we're spending on an ad. You know, the illustration that my guest gave was like, you could put a $20 bill into an ATM and get out a $40 bill, or you could put in, that's not the best analogy, but you could, put in 2 to 3 cents and get back $1. Well, we'd stand there all day, right? Even though it feels painful to lose 50 cents for a lead, they're worth down the line $1. But if we don't know that, that makes it harder. That's another element of Pinterest marketing that I think is easily forgotten, because we are caught up in followers, sessions, and saves. But a follower or a session doesn't mean anything to us if we don't know the value of it.
Right. If you're not making money from it, or you don't know how much, because the idea is that you want to figure out where, I can spend $1, but I'm making $1.50. And you know what? If that's the case, then you want to put as much money as you possibly can into that, because you will be making money.
Yes.
And that's what I call finding that flywheel, where you put money in, but you're getting more money out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so those are, but there can be a situation where you're putting money in, and maybe you're putting in $1, so it doesn't feel that bad. But the truth is that it costs $2 for a sale. So even though you're like, well, I'm just losing $1, it's ultimately not making you money.
Right. Yeah. And it's hard to face some of those numbers. I mean, I will say sitting down and doing a cost analysis of my posts sounds like I want to poke my eyeballs out. But once you know it, then you're more empowered to make better decisions than if you didn't know it. So it's kind of like, do I want to bury my head in the sand, or do I really want to know the numbers?
Exactly. Oh, exactly. I think, and one thing that I think happens with social media is when you get new followers, it feels good.
Right.
But when you're running a business, it's not about that kind of hit of dopamine. It's about making money. Mm-hmm. And those can be very different things.
Yes, drastically.
So I know a bunch of people who put a lot of emphasis on Instagram to grow their followers. And when I say, well, why are you growing your followers? Mm-hmm. They don't really have a good answer.
Right. Because it's just the thing we've been taught to do.
Exactly. So first of all, I just have to thank you, because you have been so supportive of MiloTree, and you really, like, way at the beginning, you like put us on the map. So I just have to tell you that.
You're welcome.
And then what I want to ask you is, if you had one piece of advice for people who are starting out, and this can relate to Pinterest or not, what would it be? And, maybe something you wish you knew when you were starting.
Oh, well, I think I might have the same answer for both, but a slightly different bent. And I think it would be, don't chase other people's successes.
Oh, I love it.
Because on Pinterest, I hear it over and over again, that so-and-so has this many sessions or page views, so-and-so has this many followers, and I want that. And when we go after that, we're distracted away from who our person is, and we're distracted away from our avatar and our focus and our vision. And the same can go for growing a business. That I found for me probably about, I think it was 2.5 years into my business, that I was reading emails from another person who was teaching Pinterest and listening to a couple podcasts. And when I would do that, it would distract me away from what I was doing. And specifically because I am a services-based business, my main focus is not my courses, and their main focus was their courses. And so I felt this kind of push and pull away from, I'm services based, and I've got to focus on these clients, but yeah, all these people are making so much money doing courses, and I want to go there. And I finally had this moment that, that comparison is the thief of joy, right? Mm-hmm. So I can't chase their success. I don't have their email list. I don't have their wiring. I don't have their personality. So I have me, and me as a person who does really well in a services-based environment, who does really well with clients and loves that part of it, and has been able to scale it pretty aggressively. And I I naturally fit into it, and that is okay. And so I think that would be the biggest piece of advice in anything is just don't chase other people's success. Chase your own, because
I love
you
that.
are unique and you have your own strengths and gifts and talents and personality. And I'm not somebody else in their take on Pinterest. I'm not going to focus on certain things, and there's certain things I'll will and will not teach on. And that's fine. Other people are going to teach on those things, but sometimes it's not for me, and I have to be okay with that instead of trying to be all things to all people who want all types of Pinterest marketing. I'm not going to be the expert for somebody who wants a different type of philosophy with Pinterest. And I've finally come to the place where I can say, that's okay. Totally
Oh, I
fine.
love it. That I completely agree. It's like you have your own special sauce. We all do. And it's how do you figure out what that is? And typically I would say for me, it's two things. One, does this feel good?
Mm.
Do I leave this happier than when I started? So for example, for me, I'm really enjoying podcasting in a way that I didn't even know I would.
Yeah.
So it's like, ooh, that feels good. I want to continue. And then the other side is, are people responding in a positive way? Are people liking what I'm doing, liking what I'm selling, or liking, so that there's this kind of feedback loop. And I feel like if you can find your own feedback loop where people like what you do and you like what you're doing, that is kind of your sweet spot.
Right. Yeah. Agreed.
So now what about your business are you most excited about?
I am really excited about a new step that we're taking to teach people how to be Pinterest account specialists that are certified in the Simple Pin method.
So explain what that is.
So here at Simple Pin, we do services for Pinterest account management, and I have, 30 team members that I've trained to be Pinterest account specialists. So I realized that teaching and training how to do this specific skill comes very naturally to me. So we realized we could take that and transfer it into helping other people find work at home jobs to be Pinterest account specialists if they needed to supplement their income or if they need to find a full-time income. So we took the methods that I've used, the systems that I've had, and we created a whole course training as to how you can be a Pinterest account specialist being trained in our method. So we would endorse you as a provider, kind of similar to how, I don't know, Dave Ramsey has this great method when he does with budgeting. So he endorses people to be like endorsed local providers. So that would kind of be similar as to what we're doing is training people in how to do this and how to grow their Pinterest account specialist business.
Oh, wow. So if you're a person and you love Pinterest and you want to make money, kind of delving in and helping others, this is like an awesome way to do it.
Yeah, and there was not anything like that when I was around. When I was starting,
Right.
there was nothing.
Right.
So
Right. Well, I have an assistant and she does all of our Pinterest. And I think it is one of it's her happy place because she gets to go onto Pinterest and find beautiful pins and pin our content. And I really think that when I was explaining that part of the job, I think that she's like, oh my God, you're going to pay me to hang out on Pinterest all day?
yeah, exactly. That's what most of my account specialists say. They're like, people don't understand what I do, but I love it because
Yes.
for many of them, they are young moms and they get to stay at home and do this during nap time or in the evening, or they have kids who are at school, or some of them even don't have kids. Some are in college. I mean, there's a lot of things that they love about it and the freedom to be able to do it whenever it works for them. And they're on Pinterest.
Exactly. See, I find Pinterest very different than when I'm on Facebook.
Yeah.
Pinterest to me is like, and I still get this even all these years later, just this feeling of like, oh, filled with possibilities
and pretty things. Yeah.
It puts me in my happy place.
Yeah.
Oh, I could look at all this food. It just makes me happy.
Me too.
So, okay, will you share how people can learn about you, learn more about your services, whatever, so people can connect with you?
Yeah. So first of all, Simple Pin is kind of broken up into two parts. One is the services side. So if you are somebody that you have a business, blog, or your corporate, whatever it is, and you want us to just take Pinterest management off your plate, take that chore away, that's what we primarily specialize in. And you can find more about that at simplepinmedia.com. And you can see there's a services menu at the top. And we also offer a variety of one-time services as well. And we do teach and train teams how to do that as well. So if you have a virtual assistant that you still want to do your Pinterest management, but you need more support, we do that as well. And then there's the DIY side. So I have the Simple Pin podcast.
Which is terrific.
Thank you. I think we're on I recorded episode 89 today. So there's quite a bit of information, and we try to keep it. The goal is to give you information to make you not feel overwhelmed, because there's a lot of things out there that can feel very heady or tricky or whatever it might be. And we try to stay away from that and just give you the most up-to-date information as it relates to how they're currently working on the platform. So we have that with the blog too. And you can also find that at simplepinmedia.com, plus a free Pinterest planner, a year-round planner that I did in conjunction with Tailwind. We partnered together to create one this year. And that has a month by month, what to pin, what to promote, content planning ideas, tips for the month as it relates to Pinterest, and then monthly action items that you can take to keep your business moving forward.
Oh, well, Kate, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
You're so welcome.
If you're trying to grow your social media followers on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Pinterest, plus trying to grow your email list, definitely check out MiloTree. It is the smart pop-up you add to your blog or your site, and it asks your visitors to follow you on social media or subscribe to your list. Just a couple things. It's super easy to add to your site. We offer a WordPress plugin or a simple line of code. It's Google friendly on mobile, so you don't have to worry about showing pop-ups on mobile. It's lightning fast. It won't slow your site down, and you can grow multiple platforms at once. So check it out, milotree.com. We also offer your first 30 days free.